Yazhi. All past converges into now, and from there it spreads out into infinite amount of futures. It is the result of countless timelines converging to form your present one, who you are now. So infinite amounts of pasts converge into now to then spread out into infinite possibilities of future. The red lines are past timelines with different things occurring in them personally and collectively. For me, a nexus point is any point where you focus your attention on. The nexus point is the black dot, your point of attention, the now. Any pinpoint exact place in time is a nexus point if you focus your attention on it. What were you doing last November 2019, second Sunday at 5:43 p.m.? You probably do not remember. So that's not a nexus point. But had you taken a simple photograph of that moment, then it becomes a nexus point. Now, in space, time, in physics, what would the black dot in the image above be? A singularity. You are converging all timelines into one. And I am insisting it is a singularity. Also converging into the realization that each person with a consciousness is in itself a universe of its own. So there is no other in existence for that person. So nothing exists out of its awareness. So each one of us, people, are the universe for ourselves. So we are the fragment of source and source, oneness itself, simultaneously. And also creating another undefined, not so tangible and difficult to even comprehend, ever-evolving collective universe that has one quality above all others that defines it. It is illusory. Define singularity for non-physicists, please. Meaning in physics, a point in space-time that has infinite mass, held into an infinitely small space, a black hole. Metaphysically speaking, you are everything compressed in you. And this is empirical for me, not theory. And I've had a lot of time to corroborate this. Essentially, it is over Taigetan technology or comprehension. I do have the data, mostly in Susie's AI, and in my head. And I have tried hard to convey this I hold. And I boldly state that all what is told and explained by science is wrong. And I mean even Taigetan, Federation science, or whatever. And don't get me started with human science. All that curved space theory is nothing but a mathematical self-sustained mess that does not reflect the outside world. Swaruu 10. Think of a very large number of parallel lines. Each one is a timeline. There are infinite ones, but think of about 100 for this example. They curve towards a point that is a singularity. That is the observer consciousness, whoever it is. The 100 lines meet at that point as a black hole. Those lines represent multiple different pasts, from almost the same to extremely different. All these multiple pasts, even those that contradict among one another, are those that form the present, which is the observer, according to the level of consciousness of that observer as well. And from there, the lines separate again into another 100 ahead, which are the possibilities according to which past predominates in the consciousness of that conscious observer. The past is not fixed, nor is there only one, just like the future. And both the past and the future depend on what the consciousness observer thinks and observes. As there are no densities as such from our point of view, there aren't any timelines or alternate universes either. See time and space as many parallel lines. Imagine them in your mind's eye. They are moving in one direction for now. Each one represents a different timeline, different events in the same date. They all converge on the observer, you, as with a black hole. So all the lines bend and meet at that point, the now. And the now is you, your consciousness and awareness. So all the versions of all your past lives, timelines and events, alternate or not, including all those innumerable events that did not happen in your perceivable past, but did occur in another timeline, converge into that singularity that is the now, that is you. So the now, you, are made of all what you call your past, be it that you lived that past or not. It's the same. It is still making up who you are. But then, what you perceive as the future is again all those lines coming out of you, coming out of that singularity point and moving forwards. Each one is a possibility, a potential. They all are as real as the next one. And it is your thoughts, your frequency, what will determine which one you will experience consciously. Each point of consciousness is, by definition, a singularity in a field of gravity. But of all those potential lines, some are more probable than others, based on the past choices you made before, you or a collective timeline. So it is possible to predict with some certainty what will occur next. But if that base point or history is confusing and chaotic, it will be harder to predict. And the Earth now is extremely chaotic, as it is today. Another problem is that the further ahead you may want to predict, the more variables come out and come into play. So the further ahead, the more difficult to predict, always. It is easy to predict where we will all be in 3 minutes from now. chances are that we will still be sitting here. So I can predict some future outcomes for Earth, but they will not be set in stone. This is the problem with psychics and people who can see the future. They can only see what is based on their personal frequency, so it will be their future, but not the future as in set in stone. And there are as many pasts making up their now as potential futures ahead. Countless. But it gets worse. That is only looking behind and ahead, still thinking of linear time, past and future. Gets weird when you come up with 3D time, as in D for dimensional, that is, time moving in every conceivable direction. Most people can only perceive time as in moving one way on one line, past, future. But time in general looks more like this. That's when it gets more complicated. Yazhi. We all live in several densities and dimensions simultaneously, and they all converge into the now, as in who you are now. So parallel universes are not separated. They all feed each other because they all define each other. They are all interconnected. So even in a parallel universe where you actually went to live to Tanzania and you have lived there since you were 17 and never left Tanzania, and you have a nice animal reservoir, you may feel that alternate universe life of yours has nothing to do with your present life. And from a lower point of view, it does not. But from above, it is all interconnected, and all what you are living there in Tanzania is also shaping your life today there in Finland, as your life today is also forming and influencing your life in Tanzania as well. Your values and reactions, your very personality is the sum of all your countless life variations in parallel universes. In parentheses, because there are not parallel universes as such, that as densities are as well, are only either human interpretations, means to try to understand something so complex they cannot understand in one piece, so they must cut it into tails de morceaux, bite sizes, to be able to process them. Same with this. It is too much for them, all human and non-human altogether. Bite-size interpretations of something too large to handle from that lower perspective. Because talking about Gosha as one being under the name Gosha and derivatives, she becomes so big it is simply too difficult and challenging to understand that all timelines and alternate universes are only an illusion, and there is only unity, even in isolated identities such as the concept of Gosha, which in turn is also a fragment of something even larger. Time jumping over and over and over again for 12 lifetimes has let me see the alternate universes and alternate timelines as only an illusion. They all converge to become one mass, one unit. That is you. As I have said before, imagine countless lines that represent your past or any past, and they all converge into a black hole singularity that absorbs them all into one point in space-time. A singularity is a point in space-time that holds infinite mass in a place infinitely small according to human physics. That point in space-time is you today. Your mind, your consciousness, being formed by all those billions of countless variations of you, living alternative lives and experiences everywhere. That is the line and flow, or flux, the exact correct word for this, of gravity consciousness flowing to that singularity point in space-time to form you. And from that point, you also hold infinite potential. And with infinite potential, you create infinite timelines, represented in my example as an infinite number of lines coming out of the black hole singularity that is you, representing all the things and all the decisions you can make in your life in front of you. Yes, I think I understand. But it's a bit of a bummer because, for example, I think I'm happy and I feel happy today, but tomorrow I may not be because something happens to Tanzania Gosha. It's a stupid and silly example, simple perhaps, but does it work like that even? Could be, if it is something strong. But in reality, you are not only linked to the Tanzania Gosha, but you are as well to countless other Goshas simultaneously. So whatever happens to them does not directly affect Gosha of today as the only thing that affects her. Because we all die every day in those other timelines, and having bad days, etc. Well then, all those bad days versus good days must be annulling themselves out all the time. I know I am being a bit simplistic and divisive here. Yes, and what you live and what you see is determined by your vibe from where you stand today. It's a web of innumerable Goshas. So one Tanzania Gosha having a bad day does not really affect you. And then there comes into play the concept of knowing your frequency. That is, you are on the positive timelines or tracks according to your thoughts, according to the very real law of mirrors. Right. So the positive ones will affect me more if I am of a more positive frequency. Yes. Yes, I think I am grasping all this. The only small beef I still have is that the Tanzania Gosha is forming me here. Because this means I am not much in control of who I am or how I want to be, it seems. Of course, we are what we are, and we are not in control of that. But some things I like to think we can create in ourselves or recreate us or whatever. But I guess more that I think about it, even that idea of being able to create me and recreate me is probably coming from somewhere too. So in the end, yeah, where is the true me? In all of them, I suppose. We, the ones who we are, typing and thinking, are not in control of everything we do, unfortunately. Not you, not Aneka, not I. Who is then? A conglomerate of us simultaneously? 'Cause I thought it's our past experiences and choices that shape us. But it turns out that it's not only our immediate past experiences, but also past, present experiences of our parallel selves too, that seemingly have nothing to do with us. That's definitely a new and expanding concept. Who? Some would loosely call this being our higher self, although I don't like that. Because from our point of view, now, who we are now, typing here, and in my case, listening to French rock, we are our own best versions of ourselves. And from this point of view, limited or not, we control as much as we can. And we are the best as we can be. But even here, we are not under full control. We have the unconscious mind that governs us a lot and is also the result of the influence of all those countless timelines I was talking about above. We are also slaves of who we are, roles we play, gender roles, mental roles, ideas and attachments we have about ourselves, about our world, and how we see it. In a point of view of timelessness, your past still is, as it is an inanimate point in time where your consciousness passed by or looked at. So your past is part of all those alternate timelines that make up who you are today, as you can limitedly observe them using your limited within a lifetime memory. They would be closest to you. Although this closeness is also an illusion because they are all forming you. Remember them or not. And another important point is that this transcends death. All those timelines that converge into the singularity you are, forming who you are, also include all the things you did in all other countless lifetimes you've lived before. From another point of view, this also explains why there is no death, and you transcend it always, because there is no time, and you are always alive somewhere. Death is just another experience of many you have, and defines you as well, who you are today. Wow, amazing, mind-blowing concepts. I am grasping it somewhere at the back of my soul. I am doing my best to convey with limited words the vast, limitless expansion of consciousness, of ego self-identity, to explain why there is no death, or only existing from a lower, limited point of view, and not as something more expanded. Death as such is impossible, only from the lower point of view as a concept a person holds about their own finite nature. This finite idea defines their value of the experience of life, and it becomes a dread that follows them all their lives until the day they die. They realize that they have been fearing death for nothing, with no reason, wasting their lives away fearing that time. Death that never comes, only transforms you, and the how much depends only on you and on the ideas and attachments you hold. death is more real for the other people that, from a lower point of view, do hurt and a lot about the loss of a loved one. From that point of view, the existence of death is undeniable, and to deny it becomes abuse. So this is again another example of something valid from one point of view and not valid from another. And it can even be seen as tying into the Federation and its abusive ideas and procedures regarding Earth and its inhabitants. Because even if there is no death, from another valid point of view, there is death, and no one can say there is not. But, as I so often say, things from a more expanded point of view, more expanded point of consciousness observation from what people on Earth would call a higher density point of view, there is no death. And it is a cosmic impossibility that contradicts the very nature of consciousness. So death, as such, is only a concept observable from lower states of consciousness and density. Yet, it is still real, and not to see it as real from that point of view is abusive. But grieving relatives apart, for the individual who fears death and is about to die, there is no death. The only death that exists for such an individual in that condition is the idea, the concept of death that he or she has developed as the result of its upbringing or its culture and of the influence of its collective consciousness. Therefore, a belief system and not hard reality. But then again, belief systems that are held as valid are truth as well, at least for the one who holds them. It is their truth, but truth it is. Then we go into the realm of self-fulfilling prophecy manifestations, where, as the individual who has died is in a higher state of existence density or simply of mind, they will tend to manifest whatever they believe in faster and sometimes even immediately. So whatever they believe in will be, as in their wishes are their command. So whatever they want and believe in will be what they experience. So we go into all the already given concepts of people who die and believe in Jesus. Jesus will manifest for them. Buddha for the ones that want to see Buddha. Allah for the ones who want Allah, and so on and so forth. But this is only a simplistic explanation for very complex phenomena, because it goes a lot further than only seeing Buddha or Jesus when they die. They manifest whole, complicated, and extremely rich realms or universes, because that is who they are. That is what they believe in, and firmly. This then means that they go to whatever place, planet, realms, or anywhere they truly want, not superficially, deep, true belief. And one of the best examples of this is all the realms, places, and whatever they are called of the afterlife. As an example of what on earth they call 4D or the spirit world would be, for me, the manifestation of a complicated collective unconscious of people who are no longer in what you can call the physical world. People who have come to die. people who have transcended the flesh, as they had a sudden death, among other countless reasons. Many haven't really noticed that they are dead at all. So they continue to manifest for themselves complicated shadow worlds of the so-called material real one, where they also form agreements of perception with other people, souls, if you may, who share a similar condition. So yes, from their point of view, the afterlife shadow world does exist, and it is as real as any other realm. Although I would never place any in a linear density scale, they do make up part of the richness of the universe. Places to be, experiences and all. But it does not stop there either. Because as for them, that realm, spirit world, is where they live in as their reality, so are the rest of all the people who exist and live in what you call the real world. There is no difference at all. It's as fake as the spirit world, or as real as the spirit world, as you choose to see it. They are all created with mind and consciousness, using both individual perception based on beliefs and experience and collective agreements as well. And as everything is agreements, mind, consciousness, and attachments, those rules can be changed, twisted, or altered at will. And that is easy once you are in a higher realm. But that is also an idea. So, all reality, material or not, high density or not, is all consciousness. Therefore, alterable with mind alone. What I am trying to explain is that we are always in an etheric, astral world. There is no material world.